Hey guys, and welcome to episode 222 of the Gaming Death Podcast. I'm your host, Chris. And with me tonight, we have a fan. I mean, Kaleb.
Oh. Yeah, I'm a fan of myself and of our work on the podcast. You can call me a fan.
No, I meant like an actual fan.
Well, I do have an actual fan, but he's not going to be talking. He's not very nice.
No, they can hear it.
No, they can't.
Yes, they
can. You can hear nothing.
Yeah, I'm going to start this off by apologizing for the airplane taking off in the background of our audio this evening. For some reason, we can't get Kaleb's levels quite right tonight. And every time that there's even the briefest moment of silence, that's all you hear.
Yeah, I guess it's just boosting that particular aspect of what's coming out of my microphone. Unless I get away from the PlayStation, which I guess I could do.
Get away from the PlayStation, dumbass.
Well, fine. I wanted to play the PlayStation. Alright, give me a second here.
I don't play anything. I podcast when I'm podcasting. Come on, live in the moment.
I do live in the moment, but I also like to do multiple things at once. Like, I like to listen to music while I work, and I like to play mindless video games while I'm talking on the podcast, because it helps me think.
Does it help you think?
Yeah, it helps me think while I'm doing two things at once.
Oh, I just have my hand on my nuts while I'm podcasting.
Just constantly giving yourself blue balls, just...
No, not blue balls. I'm not, like, making myself hard.
As soon as this podcast is done, I'm gonna get in there. You better be ready, Chris.
Podcast is done. I'm gonna go to bed. I barely slept last night. My mania came roaring back. I was up till, like, almost 5 a.m.
Were you trying to be night again and again?
No, I didn't. I wasn't playing anything. I laid in bed and with like staring at the ceiling for like an hour, and then I turned the PlayStation on and watched like 12 episodes of That 70s Show.
Wow.
And then I was like, I really need to sleep. Come on, brain, sleep. And it just did not want to sleep.
Just didn't like it.
Nope.
That sucks.
Yeah, it was not the best of times. It wasn't the worst of times, but it was not the best of times.
It was the okayest of times.
It was the okayest of times. But, you know, it's one of those things like, I'm sick this week, which sucks. Mm-hmm. Which is why our podcast is Wednesday instead of our normal Tuesday night.
Correct.
But we may, I need to talk to Kaleb, because Tuesdays isn't working for me doing the podcast. Like, we moved it to Tuesdays to move out of the way for Horseplay Live, because they were supposed to go earlier. But Tuesdays, my therapy might be being moved to Tuesdays at 8:30, which means that the podcast is going to be hard for me to do on Tuesdays. So that's my heads up right now to everybody, including Kaleb.
Okay.
So we'll have to talk to find out what day is the best day.
Okay, that makes sense.
But video games, stuff happening.
Stuff is legitimately happening in video games.
Like lots of now. Nintendo stuff.
Yeah, Nintendo's really going all out right now to stack that deck for the holiday season. Actually, there's a lot of really interesting things coming out this year already.
Skyrim got a release date for the Switch, November 17th.
Yeah, Skyrim got a release date. We got a special Super Mario Odyssey style Switch, which if they make more than 12, maybe I could get one. So keep that in mind.
I'm hoping that they make more than 12. Like, exactly like what I've been, like, I've yet to buy a Switch, and now it's like, oh, now there's something for me to actually, like, the reason that I'm going to buy the Switch, and it comes bundled with the game. Oh, this is sweet.
It's amazing what we could do with technology.
We can rebuild him.
The Switch? We can literally rebuild it hundreds of times. Maybe even dozens.
Let's see, what else is going on? Destiny came out?
Destiny came out. Everyone's all up on the Destiny, which we were talking about last week.
Yeah, it was coming out that midnight when we were recording.
Yeah, my roommate was literally sitting watching streams until 9 p.m., which is like an hour or so after we ended the podcast. But yeah, he was up, ready to go. with his clan and everything.
I picked it up. Well, Dawn picked it up for me. That was my 10-year anniversary gift from her.
Oh,
She bought me Destiny. I bought her a pair of Renaissance shoes.
nice.
So that was quite nice. I have it installed. I've really learned that I really stick away from physical. I don't like having physical these days. I really don't.
Physical games?
Yeah, I don't like having physical copies of stuff.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of having a physical game case and like an instruction booklet and all that, but that's definitely been going by the wayside lately. Not just for me, it seems like it's a general trend. But yeah, it's so much easier to just buy something online while I'm at work and then have it download to my system and be ready to go when I get home, rather than like have to go physically find a copy or even order one to come to my door. It's just so much more simple in so many ways.
Like, it's just so nice that, like, my thing is, like, you've seen where I live and the space that I have, and to have, like, if I had every game that I also own digitally as physical copies, like the games that you can get physical, I wouldn't have room for them at all. Like, I'm already stacking games on top of games on my shelf, like, with what I have. And it's just one of those things where it's like, if it's a game that I'm really looking forward to, or a game where I'm really into it, like, what is it, Far Cry, like the new Far Cry that's coming out, I'll pick that up as a physical copy of the game, or the new Assassin's Creed Origins. Like, I own a physical copy of every Assassin's Creed game. I'm not going to not pick that up physical. But Destiny 2, I look up on my shelf and I see the original Destiny that I played for maybe like 15 to 20 hours, and I'm like, yeah, nah. Digital it is.
Digital it is.
And I also have a lot of problems with my PS4. Like, I know you have problems with your PS4 disk drive. I have a lot of problems with my PS4 disk drive as well. Like, I've sent my PS4 back twice already because of disk drive problems.
Mm.
And it's just one of those things where it's like, it's just easier for me to buy digital at this point.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Yeah, my disk drive is kind of on the fritz and a little weird, and it's always a question of whether or not it's going to let my disk stay in there while I'm playing, which just necessitates moving towards digital as well. But just easier in so many ways, man. What can I say?
See, if Hollow was still on the podcast, he'd tell us how dumb we were right now.
Talk about how much he loves the physical copies. Yeah. He collects that shit. I never saw how much he had because I've never like seen his room, but it sounds like he has
pictures.
just...
He has stuff. like I'm a stuff guy, but my stuff isn't like, I don't want all of one thing's stuff.
Okay.
I'm like, yeah. I like books, and I like video games, and I like action figures, and Hollow, it's like figures and video games, and that's it.
Just that? Just everywhere?
Like, he has a room dedicated, like, that's just storage of that shit.
Wow.
Like, it's cool as fuck. Like, if I had a room that I could just dedicate to, like, my collecting and my hoard of collecting stuff, I would, but I don't.
Yeah, I'm definitely not that kind of person. I mean, I don't buy a lot of stuff. I'm not much of a stuff guy, except when it comes to books. I like having lots and lots of books. So that's mostly what my room is. Books and consoles, pretty much. But yeah, just never saw as much of a need. Just don't see as much of a need for it these days. So, but the books are another matter. We can talk about that some other time. Do you collect a ton of books?
Oh, I have a shit ton of books. Like, and I have, like, old-ass books. I have, like, new books. I also collect a shit ton of comic book. Like, my comic book collection is lengthy and very valuable.
Okay.
And, like I collect I probably have over, about 50,000 comic books.
Wow. Like in boxes, or just like out everywhere?
No, I'm not a hoarder. I'm a collector.
Okay.
They're all organized and in comic boxes, and they
Okay.
sit on like those industrial metal shelves.
Yeah.
They sit on those, and I have 3 of those big metal shelves full of boxes,
Wow.
long white boxes. Yeah, my collecting I started collecting books back in 1993, and have never stopped. I collect to this day. And then I have old ass books and new ass books, and I go to flea markets and that kind of shit. And then I also collect there's nothing like really old, like a really old ass book from like 1857.
Oh yeah, no, those are awesome.
Where like you're afraid to open the front cover because you're afraid it's about to fall off.
Yeah.
Dawn has some fucking weird ass book that she found at a garage sale. It's like this leather bound book, and it's got like an 1817 date in it, and it's I believe it's a handwritten translation copy of sonnets from Shakespeare. It's just a cool ass book.
That is an amazing book.
Yeah.
I think we've had full-on debates about the whole physical-digital thing on previous episodes, long into the past. I can't remember. I know.
Oh, yeah, we did
before.
We did, because me and you were both kind of like, "Yay, digital video games! Boo, digital books!"
Yeah, and Hollow's all about the collecting, whereas we're just about being as efficient and making it as simple as possible. And I don't think physical games. Yeah, that's fair too.
I'm lazy and I have gaming ADD, so
yeah. But I think we've talked to the point of like assuming that at some point pretty soon it's pretty much probably all going to be digital. GameStops are not doing great these days, right?
Don't believe so. Like, this is my thing. Like, the Switch is a good example of a console that I'm going to buy completely digital on.
Okay.
I will never own a physical, tiny, little, itty-bitty microchip disc for a console. There's no point. It's a tiny disc, and I don't want to have to carry those around. And the boxes are really awkward shaped. What's the point?
What is the point, indeed?
Like, the only way they could get me to buy, like, a physical Switch game is to be like, oh, here's this badass collector Zelda. And that's it. Because badass collectors editions of Zelda games give me a boner.
Of course they do. We know about you and your Zelda predilections. But I was going to say, I haven't thought about it too much, but I'll probably be in the same boat, just because, I mean, I have so many PlayStation games, but I think maybe like 80%, if not 90% are digital. I have like a few PS4 like physical holders, but not very many. And I don't see myself necessarily caring enough to get any more physical on the Switch. So, yeah, it's probably going to be that way for me too, honestly, just because of the ease of use.
It's just so nice to not have to worry
about
bullshit.
Speaking of which, there was a Nintendo Direct today, and they announced a bunch of new things for their games and a bunch of things going on for 3DS. They're all over the place right now.
Yeah,
really.
It's fucking sweet titties, that's what I have to say.
It's fucking sweet titties. Doom and Wolfenstein 2 are coming to Nintendo Switch.
Yep.
That surprised me, but also made me feel pretty excited. If I could take my Wolfenstein 2 around with me, that would be fantastic, actually. Same with Skyrim, coming out in November, as you said. And a bunch of other games that are getting DLC and things. It's great. It's great. They're really pushing into the game strong with the Switch, and it's fun to see. It's fun. They have a lot going on already. Well, that was one of our big questions, like when they first announced the Switch officially back in, was it January? When Hollow, you and I were watching the like reveal. Was that January 15th or what? Do you remember what date that was?
I thought that was February, back in February.
Maybe it was February.
The announcement came in February, and then the system launched in March.
That's right. It was really quick, and they showed a ton of stuff, and the question was, when is the stuff coming out? But stuff's been trickling out all through the summer. A lot of great indie games apparently, and now they're just releasing a ton of shit going into Christmas. And good to see. Good to see. What are you looking to grab as far as the list of games to start with?
I'm gonna pick up, without a doubt, Mario Odyssey, Mario, whatever the fuck you want to say, Odyssey.
Mario. You gotta do it. You gotta get Mario Odyssey. It looks too good.
I want to play. What the fuck was it? I want to play ARMS.
Okay.
I'll probably pick up Splatoon because I didn't get around to playing it on the Wii U.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And I definitely want to play Mario Rabbids, and Skyrim on the go is a no-brainer.
Yeah. Nice. Pretty solid.
What about you?
I'm gonna go for Super Mario Odyssey, obviously. Snipper Clips, because I've wanted to play that game all year since it was announced at the first presser.
That's an indie game, right?
That is an indie game, yeah, where you it's a co-op game, or it can be, where you each play a different shape and you have to mold your shapes around each other and cut out parts of your shapes in order to fit silhouettes or solve physical puzzles and shit. It looks really goofy, but really fun.
Does that have online co-op? Because if it does, that sounds like a game that's right up Let's Play Kaleb Chris.
Let me see, actually. I believe it does. I know they made a big they made a big note about adding in couch co-op, and I think it has online co-op, but I'll have to double check. Anyway, but I want to grab that. I've never actually bought Skyrim, now that I think about it, on any console. And I'm debating whether or not I want to get it on the Switch as my first ownership of it. Like, I've played it before, obviously.
You've played it, but you've never owned it.
Yeah, there was a weird part. There was a weird part in my life where I was crashing on a friend's couch about 5 years ago. I'm saying this for the audience. Chris already knows this. And was playing a bunch of their games while I tried to find a job, and it was just a very unpleasant time. But I had Skyrim, and I had Infamous too, so that was cool. But that's the only time I ever actually played it, was when I literally had nothing to do, and so it didn't matter that I wasted all of my time with it. But debating, I might grab it on the Switch just to have it to go. That sounds like a really fun thing. And then those three, maybe Splatoon if enough people are into it. I mean, I've heard amazing things. I've just never actually played any of the Splatoon games. But I'd be interested to check it out if it really is as cool as everyone says it is. And it sounds like it's doing really well right out of the gate.
Alright, well, it's a sequel, so there's two of them.
There's two of them.
It's a fun shooter. It's like an arcadey shooter, which makes me happy. That's why I want to play it. I like arcadey type games.
And it sounds like the first one itself was an amazing game. It just didn't really get the audience it deserved because it was on the Wii U. And Nintendo's really intent on making that right with the second one.
That's what it seems like.
Yeah. So that's cool. I could check out. But Super Mario Odyssey and Snipper Clips, I think, are still the ones that I've been wanting since I saw the announcement.
Whatever whatever From Software is working on.
We still don't know what that is, do we? Tokyo Game Show, is that this month?
I believe so. It's the end of this month, I believe.
Yeah, I was going to say September 20-something. Yeah, me too. Everybody's waiting. Nobody knows.
Well, somebody knows, just nobody's talking.
Well, somebody knows. Nobody's talking. Nobody in the industry anyway, so we'll have to see. But yeah, I'm sure there's something coming. Anything else going on in games that you want to talk about, speaking of which?
Okami is coming to Xbox One, PS4, and PC.
Okami is not finally. Okami is being updated for the new consoles as far as HD and all that, and coming to the new ones.
Finally.
You played Okami, right?
Back on the Wii/PS2.
Okay. The PS2 version was not great, from what I hear. The Wii U was pretty good.
The Wii U was great.
I played through on the PS3, which was fantastic, and I've heard is the best one. But this one's probably going to be even better. I imagine this will be. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, I imagine this is probably going to be like the ideal place to play it, just because it'll be super updated in HD, and all the mini games are included, and everything like that.
I'm just really happy to finally be able to play one of the best non-Zelda Zelda games on my PS4.
That game transfixed me for a couple weeks. It's pretty fantastic.
And that's a game I think I can get Dawn into.
You know, actually, you probably could.
I really think I could get Dawn into that game.
Yeah, you could. So, I'm sure everybody out there's probably heard a lot about Okami or has played Okami, but for those who have not played it, this is your chance to pick it up. You want to play this game.
Yes.
It's basically Zelda, but with a much more, like, medieval Japan kind of aesthetic, and very much like an old-school ukiyo painting watercolor style to it. But you're in medieval Japan, and you're a god that's been reincarnated as a wolf with powers. It's really creative in every way imaginable. It just has amazing music. It's beautiful. The story's really great. Everything about it, like you got to try this game. If you
attack by painting on the screen.
You attack by painting on the screen, which apparently is supposed to be a manifestation of your god powers. But you draw different designs to do different types of attacks and things. You can create bombs. You can cut through enemies. It's crazy. It's a lot of fun.
And it's a beautiful game.
It is a very beautiful game.
The worst part about it is the weird sound that the people make.
The kind of Banjo-Kazooie-esque noises that come out of their mouths every time they talk.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not ideal. I will admit that. It's kind of goofy, but that's a pretty minor criticism for a pretty amazing game.
Yeah, it's imagine if Twilight Princess was you were constantly in wolf form, but you got to attack like you weren't in wolf form. That is Okami.
And your wolf form got to hold a sword in its mouth.
Yeah, like I said.
Yeah. It just...
You're in wolf form the entire time, except you attack like you're not in wolf form.
you attack like you're not in wolf form. You have combos and shit. It's great.
It's amazing.
It's great.
Oh, I can't wait. I don't know the date on that, but...
December, I think it was.
All I know is that somebody that I'm friends with on Facebook was like, oh, fucking lazy developers re-releasing games that are only 11 years old.
No, Okami is a fantastic game that, again, similar to Splatoon, never got the attention it deserved just because it's looked at as strange and different. But it really, really deserves a second look from people, if not a third and fourth.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff all around.
See, can we talk about HD re-releases really quick?
Yeah. What about HD re-releases that's on your mind, Chris?
I have really weird feelings about HD re-releases. Like, on one hand, I think they're amazing, and on the other hand, there are some games that they re-release way too soon, HD-ified. The original Tomb Raider, I thought, was re-released way too soon. The Last of Us was released like within a year of the original release date.
Oh my god, yeah.
Like, it's shit like that really pisses me off. But then we get stuff where it's like Okami or the original Darksiders, or like even like older games like Samus Returns, which is coming out Friday, like is an HD re-release of a game.
Yeah.
And
it's getting pretty good reviews too, by the way. Random aside.
I completely forgot that was coming. I got an email today from Amazon that was like, hey, your package shipped. And I was like, what package shipped?
Yeah, the embargo went down on like Monday, and I was like, oh shit, this game came out or is coming out? Like that soon? Yeah, but the reviews have been pretty good so far.
Well, life is going so fast for me lately that I forget that we're in September and October is right around the corner.
Oh yeah, it's been a quick year.
So it's one of those things where I'm like, oh, October is right around the corner. I hope I have money.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like, I'm looking at what I have pre-ordered and I'm like, okay, Evil Within 2 is a definite buy. Assassin's Creed Origins is a definite buy. This doesn't have to be a definite buy. This doesn't have to be a definite buy. This could be a Christmas gift. And it's one of those things. But HD re-releases, I got off.
Yeah.
Got off the
It did. I was
trying to talk about.
I was gonna bring it back around, but I was gonna say, yeah, I keep forgetting that a ton of stuff is coming in October, which I just haven't even been thinking about because I've been in full on work mode. Yeah, no, there's lots of good stuff that's coming out that we got to get ready for. It's back. Gaming season is back. Summer's over. HD releases.
HD re-releases. So it's one of those things where, like, I have these really weird mixed feelings because sometimes they release the games okay and everything's great with them, and sometimes they wait and not enough time between when they release and when, like, the original release and the HD re-release. And that bothers me to no end. I think that's really lazy. Like stuff like Okami, I'm like, what are, like, a 12-year-old kid today who owns a PS4, he's not going to track down a PS2 or a PS3 to play Okami, but he'll spend $15 on PSN and play it.
Yeah, he'll spend $15 and he'll fall in love with it and then spend like 80 hours with it, because that's Okami. So yeah. It's and there's certain aspects of gaming that a lot of people don't talk about, like cartridges last forever. Disc rot is a thing, people. Yeah, it is.
And at sooner or later, these discs we all have, like, chilling in a corner from PS1, PS2 days are just going to disintegrate.
Yeah.
And, like, not in that far into the future. I'm talking like 15, 20 years down the road.
It's not fun to think about.
No, it's not.
On my discs.
So, it's just one of those things where I think the HD re-releasing is a good thing, but it's a double-edged sword because with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah. I was going to say it's kind of along the same lines for me, but I just think of it as I don't think of it as an absolute. I think it really depends on the individual case by case of what game you're re-releasing and why. Like a game like Okami, which I think is fantastic, but just never really did super well when it was originally released and released a couple times after that. It definitely deserves more people to play it, and it definitely deserves to be upgraded into HD because that would just make it look even better. Something like Last of Us, yeah, that's it. It made sense from some people's perspective because they'd like the idea that other people would be able to play it now that they'd had a PS4, because a lot of people were coming from the previous generation having had Xbox 360s. But at the same time, a year after is still a pretty fucked up and pretty obvious cash grab. So I don't really give that a pass. But there are genuine games where I think they don't age well, or it's long enough removed, and you might want an updated version so you don't have to truck out an old console, in which case it makes sense to, throw down $10, $15, maybe even $20. A full price one a year after is ridiculous. That's like the far end of the shitty spectrum, but there's a lot of good happening with HD re-releases to the point that, yeah, it's really just a matter of case by case. And I'm happy that it's an aspect of this generation, just so that some of those great games we don't necessarily have to leave behind completely. We can keep up with them.
I like that a lot of these HD re-releases are also purely digital, because I think that after this generation, when we move into the PS5 and whatever the next Xbox will end up being called, that will end up being one of those things where everything you downloaded on your PS4 has got to work on the PS5.
You think so? You think we'll get there? That's like the dream.
I think that you have to be like, it's got to, whatever the PS5 is and the Xbox 2 has to be backwards compatible and pretty much be a PC in a box.
I can see that perspective. I think we're getting pretty close to that too. I'm just wondering how long they're going to try to drag out non-backwards compatibility, especially at this point when it just doesn't even make any sense to not have backwards compatibility when everything's digital anyway.
Like,
I feel like the 5 might even be just kind of the same thing as like a 4 or like a 4 Pro, but just a stronger version, you know?
I think the 5 will be slightly better than the Scorpio.
Okay.
Like, Sony isn't moving on the 5 quickly. I like that Sony has a longer lifespan in mind for for the PlayStation 4. That makes me quite happy because I'm not ready to buy another console right now. I'm still getting a lot of use out of the PS4. I think that there's a lot that the 4 can still do. I don't think that there's been a big enough leap ahead in any one area to merit, a PS5 at this point.
Do you think you will get a PS4 Pro at any time soon?
If I get an HDR TV, the HDR TV.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like, I think that there's no point in having a Pro without that. And there's other stuff. I'm married, I'm 30. There's other stuff I can spend, $600 on.
Yeah.
Like, I need a lot of dental work.
That's not a bad one. Dental work's always good. Brush and floss, kids. It's good for you.
Definitely. Brush and floss. And when you're on psych meds, make sure that you realize what they do to your teeth.
Ooh. Yeah, that's good to know, too.
Yeah. I was on psych meds that broke the enamel down in my teeth. Yeah.
That's like, how is that okay as a side effect?
It just is. That's why I don't talk about this very often because it's actually the one thing, like, I don't care that I'm overweight. I don't care, about much of anything about my physical appearance, but my mouth is something that I'm very guarded about. It's one of the reasons I grew the beard was to try to, hey, look at the beard, don't look at the mouth. I'm missing, like, I've had, 12 teeth pulled.
Ooh.
I don't have very many teeth left in my mouth, and the ones that I do have are all root canaled and porcelained up.
Ooh.
I think I have 2 molars on the bottom left, one on the left and one on the right, and the one on the left is the one I have to go get pulled at the end of this month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah. Chewing sucks a dick for me.
It sounds like it. These are the times when I'm kind of happy, in retrospect, that my parents pushed me into several years of extensive dental work, as far as like retainers and braces and all that shit.
I had braces.
Huh?
I had braces.
Did you?
Yeah.
You had braces when you were growing up?
Yeah, I had a gap in my front teeth that I could fit $1.50 in quarters in between.
Ugh. That's ooh.
I had braces and multiple thousands of dollars worth of dental shit went into my mouth, and then I went on some psych meds that decided that
ruined all of that.
Deciding that, hey, this enamel that you have on your teeth, let's make it really soft and really shitty.
Psych meds are still bad, but they used to be especially bad.
I had to not brush my teeth for close to 6 months. I was told by my dentist to rinse with this super anti-fluoride shit that I had to get a prescription for because I couldn't brush my teeth because I was brushing the enamel off my teeth because the enamel was so soft.
Ooh.
Where I'd brush my teeth and the whole side of my tooth would come off.
That's rough. That's a bad time, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's definitely a bad time.
It's definitely a bad time.
Video games, though.
So video games are happening, is what we were originally talking about before segueing into dental work conversations.
So we're picking up I have Destiny right now. I downloaded it. I started it up, but I haven't played any of it.
Okay.
Caleb picks it up Friday, and we're going to play through it.
Doing it.
Like we did the original one, which, believe me, I completely forgot that me and you played through the story together for the first game.
Oh yeah, we got that at midnight, and then we played till 5 in the morning because I had the day off the next day. And we took work off, and then I think beat it the next evening, maybe?
I think we did.
Remember.
You know what the funny thing is at the beginning of Destiny 2, after it's installed and starts to boot up, it gives you a rundown of, like, everything that you, like, the big achievements you did in the game and who you were with. So I'm scrolling through these things, and it's like, completed this with Mr. Papadopoulos, completed this with Mr. And I'm like, I played through the entire story with Kaleb?
Yeah, we did that.
I'm so glad me and him are playing this game together, the second one together. This is great.
Yeah, we crashed through it. It wasn't very long, and then we just kind of played half-assed. We played multiplayer kind of half-assed for a while, and then the raid happened, and we didn't have enough people to raid with, or at least I didn't, and didn't. We raided
once. We raided once with Yeti.
We did raid with Yeti. His team was really good, and they knew what they were doing and all that.
We beat the raid because I have a thing with Yeti, you, and one other person that I don't know who the hell it was. Was like beat whatever the first raid was called.
Sounds about right. Good times.
So, just wanted to give people a heads up on that one. I may live stream some of that, by the way, right here on twitch.tv/gamingdeath. Because we need to do more live streams. I've been playing through Dark Souls 2 with Kaleb in commentary, and I think that would have been great live streamed. Kind of like we did the Zelda.
It would have if we had a way to do it.
We do. I could have just live streamed directly on directly from the PS4.
While we're doing the Let's Play or the Share Play?
I don't know if that works. It should.
I was thinking it might be too much bandwidth.
I don't know. My computer, my internet is disgusting.
So is mine, but that's still a lot of data transmitting to both me, so I can say things and then streaming the whole thing out. You know. Right.
But well, I think like I was saying, I think that would have been a really neat thing to do because we did try to live stream. We did live stream you playing the original Zelda.
Yeah, it was a while ago. It's like 2-3 years ago.
And people love it.
Do they? Do they love
people love that
getting
shit.
high and playing Zelda?
Yeah. Dude, that was fucking phenomenal. So we'll get back into live streaming. Something that we need to do.
We could find something that we could... I mean, we could maybe do the Dark Souls 3 DLC. Well, I guess you haven't finished 2's DLC yet.
No, I'm at Fume Night. Son of a bitch.
Yeah, we don't want to stream that. Fume Night sucks.
By the way, for everybody that asked, like, have you ever thrown or broken a controller? I broke a controller last night.
It was a good break, too.
I was fighting Fume Knight, and that dude is he's just hard, and I'm playing with Kaleb. I summoned Kaleb into the game. I have the other NPC there. I'm trying to beat this dude, and I back up, and Kaleb and the other guy is wailing on the Fume Knight, and I'm like, I'm going to back up and heal, and Fume Knight, rather than dealing with the two people that are attacking him, decide to come after me. I hit the roll button to roll out of the way, and my dude doesn't roll. I'm not drinking at this point. I'm doing nothing. Okay? I go to roll, and my character doesn't roll. And I had the controller in my hand, and I just twisted it so hard that I literally twisted the controller in half. And I could not hear Kaleb anymore. So
I heard a bunch of mumbled crackling, and that was about it for a while. It's good times. It's good times.
Yeah. So there you go. Breaking controllers.
But I wasn't. No, I wasn't meant to imply that you were bad or anything as far as breaking the controller. I'm glad you got the chance to defend your honor and explain what happened. But no, I mean, Fume Knight fucking sucks. I remember when I first fought him. It was with a character that I'd gone through the game with, and so obviously I had some attachment to this character, and I didn't want to just respec him completely. But he was entirely magic-based, and for people who don't realize this, Fume Knight has super high defense against any kind of magic. So it took me like 2 or 3 hours to beat him, just like fighting him over and over again on my own. Like, it was fucking insane. for me. So you're still doing better than I did, and I feel like you're getting along just fine, even if it doesn't feel like it. Like, this fight is fucking ridiculous.
Is it bad that I watched somebody beat him with a broken ladle earlier today? At level 1, with him leveled up to, like, 25?
Wait, how did they beat him with a ladle? That just doesn't seem like it would... It just seems like it would take forever.
It didn't. He beat him in, like, 10 minutes.
How did he beat him with 10 minutes with a ladle?
Naked at level 1.
Oh, jeez. Fucking things these kids are into these days, I swear.
I was like, how the fuck? How the fuck?
Good old Feud Knight, piece of shit.
I'm like, I'm having a hard time beating him with a plus 10 hide spear with with almost fully leveled up Looking Glass Knight armor and a big ass hand shield. And this dude's naked fighting him with a broken ladle. And beat him. Naked.
Because, I don't know, man. People do crazy things for Dark Souls. It's for a unique fan community,
and he's powered up to 25.
Fume Knight is?
Yeah, in this playthrough that I watched, Fume Knight was powered up to level 25.
How did they do that?
I'm guessing they burnt those things.
Bonfire Ascetics?
Yeah.
Wait, he was powered up to plus 25?
Yes.
That's fucking insane. I didn't even know the game went past plus 9. That's ridiculous. How much health did he have?
A bajillion.
I was gonna say, that's...
This dude just beat him to death with a fucking ladle.
I guess. Jesus.
I was like, you son of a bitch. I'll have to find the video and send it to you.
I mean, I'll watch it for a minute or two. I might just feel forever impotent seeing somebody able to do that. I don't know.
Yeah, it made me feel like the worst Dark Souls player in the world. And I know I'm not great, but I'm also not the worst Dark Souls player in the world.
You pick up faster than I did, honestly.
I've also played Bloodborne, and I've beaten Dark Souls 3.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, when I first played Dark Souls 1 with you, like, coaching me through, I was a fucking idiot.
It's funny to think of now, but I mean, I don't know. You were just getting started. It took me fucking forever to beat the first Dark Souls when I went through it. It took me like 100 hours.
I'm at 40 hours right now in Dark Souls 2.
Okay, yeah, you're tearing through it, especially for DLC terms. Like, you were having trouble, but you were still cutting through at a pretty good pace.
See, the thing I've learned with Dark Souls is you keep throwing shit at the wall, and you find out what sticks, and when you learn that one thing sticks, you try that again, and then you try the next thing. And then if that also sticks, then you're like, okay, I've got this 1-2 thing here that I'm going to try. And then you're like, okay, 1, 2, 3, until you finally get through it. And then you get through it and you feel awesome. Fume Knight, my problem is things seem to be working, and then it's like nothing sticking to the wall. And I don't want to respect the character. I love my character. I'm really attached to my character. Excuse me.
Yeah. You'll get it. You're moving at a good pace, even if it doesn't feel like it sometimes.
No, I had to go and kill the fucking giant rat last night.
Oh, did you just completely step on it and stomp its face in?
I killed it in like 5 hits.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And then I hit it. I hit it. It had magic pixel left. It spewed acid all over me and broke all my shit.
Oh, that's the worst.
But it's okay. I have souls to go repair it all.
Yeah, that's the What's the name of that boss? Is that the Royal Rat Authority? No, the Authority is the one that's the wave of rats.
Yeah, I don't know what it's fucking giant rat of bullshit.
Yeah, it was fucking the giant rat in Dark Souls 2. That was such a bad concept for a boss that they were like, you know what? Why don't we start the boss fight with just 4 mobs? Because fuck you. And that's just that fight. It's just not a very good fight. It's annoying as hell.
Yeah.
But Chris is getting into Dark Souls and he's having a lot of fun, which is exciting.
What else do we have to talk about tonight?
It came out over the weekend and was the biggest R-rated opening ever, I think.
Have you seen it yet?
I actually went to go see it on Saturday, and it was sold out an hour beforehand, so we didn't go see it, and we were kind of bummed. I was with a couple friends. So I want to go see it, I just haven't been able to yet.
Okay. I have not gone and see it. I probably won't.
Really?
Yeah.
Would you just wait till it shows up on HBO or whatever?
I usually wait till they show up on Netflix, and then I pick them Netflix, Amazon, and then I buy them on Amazon.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fair enough.
Like, that's how I saw Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and it's how I'll see Wonder Woman, and the only movies that I really go to see in the theater anymore are Star Wars.
That's fair.
And only,
Star
like,
Wars are worth it.
only parts of, like, the Skywalker saga, not any of the other stuff.
Speaking of Star Wars, this isn't games, but it's kind of nerdy and it has to do with games tangentially. How do you feel about the whole Rian Johnson mess, about him leaving 9 and J.J. Abrams coming back in?
I'm okay with that.
Okay. No particular thoughts?
I'm a little pissed that the co-writer that's on for 9 now is also the co-writer on BVS.
Wait, BVS?
Yeah, Batman vs Superman.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, the co-writer with Abrams on episode 9 was also the co-writer for Batman vs Superman.
Oh. Okay. That's questionable. I did not know that. I guess we'll see. I mean, I wasn't super excited about J.J. Abrams getting pulled back onto it.
I like Abrams, so.
I didn't have any opinion one way or the other on Rian Johnson. And I like J.J. Abrams. I liked what he did with The Force Awakens and how he drew a lot of connections between the previous Star Wars, and he kind of made it fit in and kind of put things back on track. I don't necessarily want him to do that again. I want to see something really unique and really different when we get to around to 9, and I'm just wondering if he would be able to do that. And I have questions. But, I mean, I guess we'll have to see when we get there. That's still, 2 years off. We got the new one coming this Christmas, and then that one's 2 Christmases from now.
Right, we have this one, then the Han Solo movie. We have 8, the Han Solo movie, 9, and then I think the Obi-Wan movie.
There's so many fucking Star Wars movies coming out, man.
I'm so happy, though.
It's not a bad time. It's not a bad time to be a Star Wars fan at all.
I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Well, my thing is, I think that it's really funny that it's kind of mimicking the original trilogy in a way.
Do you think so? I mean, was this kind of some of the things that happened while they were making the original, as far as...
Well, like, not exactly, but I mean, like, Lucas directed A New Hope, and then who the fuck directed Empire? Oh,
that
my God.
Was the guy who helped him write the final script, right?
I believe so.
I can never remember his name.
I'm fucking tired. And everybody's like, oh, it's Spielberg. Oh, it's Spielberg. It's like, no, it's not Spielberg. Spielberg did not direct any of the Star Wars movies.
Yeah, they didn't know each other at that point. They were both just starting as directors.
Who directed...
Empire Strikes Back.
Empire Strikes Back. I wish I could remember. I'm going to look it up now, so hold on.
Okay. We're going to look this up. We're going to get an official ruling on this.
Yeah.
I'm
going to kick myself in the ass in 2 seconds. Kirshner directed Empire Strikes Back.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay.
Like I said, kick myself in the ass. And then Lucas directed Jedi. So now with the new trilogy, the Rey trilogy, as I've been calling it, we got Abrams, we have the dude in the middle, and then we have Abrams again.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, it's mimicking the original trilogy. It's kind of cool that history repeats itself that way. That's kind of neat.
Yeah, I can see that. It is kind of cool. We'll see what happens. Well, but that raises the very important question, which is, how do you rank your original trilogy?
It's Empire, Hope, Jedi.
Yep. Anyone else who says different is a heathen.
Like, Empire overall is the best Star Wars movie.
Empire is the most dramatic one. It has the best punches emotionally.
It flows the best.
Yeah, it's fantastic, even today.
And close behind, but like, here's my thing: is like, what would you say is the second best Star Wars movie?
See, I'd have to say Hope. It's not that Return of the Jedi is bad. It's just
I'm talking out of all the Star Wars movies. You think Hope is the second best Star Wars movie?
I would still put the original trilogy up there as the. So I'd say. Well, Force Awakens is hard to fit in there because normally I would say, obviously, the original trilogy is the 1, 2, 3 spots, and the second trilogy is way down below that. I guess Force Awakens I might put in the third spot.
Awakens is my second spot.
Okay.
That's why I'm asking.
Hope is the third?
Hope is the third.
Okay.
Jedi is not the fourth. Attack of the Clones is the fourth.
Attack of the Clones.
I fucking love Attack of the Clones. I think that movie is amazing.
I thought it was okay, but it's not broken like the fucking third one was, which is just a mess.
Which a lot of people say is the best one out of the second trilogy.
The episode 3?
Yeah, episode 3 is what people say is the best one out of the second trilogy, which is fucking crazy.
I would say that movie's a total disaster in every way, and if there's anything good about it, it's that it's so bad.
And I also believe that Rogue One is better than Return of the Jedi.
You think Rogue One is better than Return of the Jedi?
Yeah, I hate Return of the Jedi.
Ooh, okay.
It's like Return of the Jedi is the bottom 3. Followed by episode 3 and then episode 1.
That's harsh.
I fucking hate Return. I think Return of the Jedi is a mess of a movie.
Is it the Ewoks?
It's the Ewoks, it's the pacing, it's just not a... It's not like... My problem with Jedi is Jedi opens really, really well.
Yeah.
And then nothing happens to the end of the movie.
Yeah, it is kind of slow and kind of plotting.
And it's not like we get character development or anything. It is just we get the awesome scene in Jabba's palace where they rescue Han Solo, and then we get like the Yoda death, and then we get a bunch of fluff.
We do get a lot of fluff.
And then we get the Battle of Endor, which is cool. Mm-hmm. Like the Battle of Endor is neat. And then we get the big Vader coming back thing, showing that there's still some good left in him. His redemption happens, and then the movie's over. And it's like, it's just, Jedi is just not a well-paced movie. It's not a well-acted movie. It's not a well-scripted movie. It's just not a good movie overall.
Okay. I can understand that.
I have lots of problems with Return of the Jedi, and people are like, "Oh, Return of the Jedi is a really good movie. It's like number 3 best Star Wars movie of all time." I'm like, no, rewatch that movie. Not a good movie. I don't
think it's like amazing. I admit that it has problems, but I still think it's pretty good just because it is one of the original trilogy, and just in general, I think the standard of those movies is pretty fantastic in general and as an average. And I feel like it's still pretty good. I think a lot of the hate it gets is in comparison to the other two, even if it does have some legitimate criticisms. But I still have a better view of it. So I'd be somewhere in the middle of where most people are and where
When was
you
the
are.
last time you watched Jedi?
I watched it. I watched all 3 of the original Star Wars just before going to see Force Awakens.
So it's been almost 2. It's been what, almost 2 years?
Yeah.
Rewatch Jedi. Just don't watch the other 2 movies. Don't watch it within the context of the other 2 movies.
Just watch Jedi.
Just sit down and just watch Jedi like as if you were like, oh, this movie came out in 1989 and I'm going to see it.
Okay. You expect I would think it's a mess?
Yeah, you're gonna be like, because in the context, like, if you watch episode episode 4, episode 5, episode 6 together, because it tells such a well cohesive story. 3 gets a big pass, and it feels like a nice bookend to the story because you're watching everything happen in a very linear fashion. If you sit down and watch Jedi on its own, it's a bad movie. Welcome to Star Wars Talk.
Welcome to Star Wars Talk,
I'm
guys.
very passionate about fucking Star Wars. I will pull out my Jedi outfit, motherfucker.
I mean, I'd fuck Star Wars if I could too, but, you know, it's not a thing that's going to happen in this lifetime. But I like Star Wars. Star Wars is sweet.
Boba Fett, one of my favorite characters.
I think I was having a conversation with somebody on the internet, because as people are wont to do these days, to have these internet conversations with these strangers, so scandalous. But I was having a conversation about Star Wars and Star Trek, and he was saying that he grew up on Star Trek, and then the first time he watched Star Wars was when he was like, my age, in his late 20s, which was pretty recently. And he was like, I just don't see the appeal. It just doesn't make sense. It's just, I don't know, just old movie is old. And I think I think it's a hard movie I think all the Star Wars are harder to appreciate in a modern context, just because so much has happened in the past 40 years, and there's so many tropes that they've created that other movies have taken and run with. I would say that Star Wars is a great movie historically, but the original series, but that it's easier to come to if it's something you grew up with, which I know a lot of people do. And that maybe Star Trek is easier if you come to it as an adult. What would you think as far as just looking at those two series? Because I think they're so different, they're almost different genres, but...
Okay, do you know when I came to Star Trek, correct?
I don't. I know you mentioned it, but I'm blanking right now.
The first time I ever watched anything Star Trek related, I was 20 years old.
Wow.
Ever.
Okay.
I grew up on Star Wars. I was a Star Wars kid. I hated people that liked Star Trek. I thought Star Trek was boring and dull and dry, and I was like, fuck Star Trek. It's so fucking stupid. And my best friend at the time was really into Star Trek. And he was like, sit down, watch this episode of The Next Generation. You will fall in love with Star Trek. And he sat me down, and he played for me the episode The Inner Light.
Oh, no.
And I binge-watched the entire series of The Next Generation on DVD over the next, week and a half. And I fell in love with Star Trek.
It was pretty legit.
Star Wars is a keystone in what is a lot of modern filmmaking. There's a lot of tropes. There's a lot of things that were pulled from Star Wars that have made their way and have become very much the norm in a lot of today's modern cinema, as well as the cinema coming up. Look at the practical effects they used and the sci-fi genre in general before Star Wars was nowhere near as big as it is. You know, sci-fi was looked down upon and was like, oh, you're never going to make money making a science fiction film. And now sci-fi is like one of the biggest, blockbuster money-making genres.
Mm-hmm.
For people that don't get the cultural significance or the historical significance of what Star Wars stood for, that didn't grow up with it, I think, they're going to be like, okay, this is an old movie, and old movie is old. It's like trying to watch stuff like Citizen Kane or How to Build an Atomic... Not How to Build an Atomic Bomb. Dr. Strangelove.
Yeah, so I get those movies and I appreciate them, but I can see why someone from a modern context would not, because they just flow so differently as films, even because they're so old and they're so different, and it's a different concept of filmmaking, really.
Right, like filmmaking now compared to 1977 when the original Star Wars came out. Filmmaking now is the audience constantly has to be excited.
Yeah, I could see that.
Like when you look at like what is considered the action sci-fi. Even looking at the newest Star Wars movie, it doesn't like it has a lot of similarities to A New Hope, but it flows nowhere near, how A New Hope flowed. A New Hope was filled with a lot of character development and these slow, little melodramatic pauses between the action where you had time to rest and it crescendoed up to this big build, and then it, fell back down to a valley and then crescendoed back up to the culmination of that giant battle in the Death Star trench run. And, whereas if you look at The Force Awakens, which is made more like a modern movie, it's like explosion, 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 a little bit of character development, explosion, explosion, lightsaber battle, explosion, lightsaber battle, explosion, explosion, running, explosion, explosion, battle, explosion, explosion. And it's like, that's just how films are made today.
Yeah, when I think of the original Star Wars, the first things I think of are Luke standing on the hilltop watching the sunset as the music score swells, which is very not exciting.
Chills.
And the cantina scene where they meet Han, which is like, it's like a slow, patient character development, like noir style scene, and then he shoots a guy, and that's all that happens as far as action.
No, you get
actually, the guy gets his arm.
Mon Baba gets his arm cut off.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but it's not like a big epic battle scene or anything. It's like it is exciting because it's in a scene that you expect to be really mellow, and for the most part, it is mellow until the guy gets his arm cut off. But yeah, different style filmmaking, different pacing, different just everything.
Right. It's like you look at like, I'm trying to think of like what's like a really good old movie that's not Star Wars. I'm blanking right now because I'm like, oh, what about this movie? But I mean, like, look at what people go to see at the movies these days. They go and see Marvel movies, which are like set. It's kind of like what we have with a lot of modern video games. Is here's some stuff and just driving you to the next big set piece that's going to wow and amaze you. And here's some stuff that's going to drive you to the next set piece that's going to wow and amaze you.
Sounds about right.
And
just think of Nathan Drake in the Uncharted series.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Nathan Drake is a big thing for that. Is like, here's this thing, and you're going to walk for a bit, and you probably fight some dudes, but here's this next big set piece. Look at what we can do. God of War was big on that as well. Most games are. It's one of the reasons that I'm really enjoying Dark Souls, because it's not like, hey, here's a bunch of fluff and look at this big set piece, look what we can do. It's like, here's some filler and now fight this boss, which is either we put a lot of time in and is a really fun and interesting fight, or it's a boring, we didn't put a lot of thought into this.
It's a fight.
But I mean,
Dark Souls 2.
Video games and movies are very much parallel each other in today's society, where it's we're constantly going, our brains are constantly moving, and it says more about our modern society than most things do, due to the fact that it's like we're constantly on our phones, or we're constantly on the internet, and we're constantly doing this and constantly doing that, and we're constantly going, and when you get those games that are slow and nothing really happens, those are considered boring and walking simulators. And it's like, or the movies that are slow, they're like, oh, it takes a long time for the action to pick up. It's kind of a boring movie. It's like,
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. But back to your original question, I think that if you don't understand where Star Wars fits into history, I think that, yes, Star Wars, it can just be a boring trilogy, and that's okay.
Yeah, different era, different product of a different era.
Like, I think Star Trek, the original series, is boring as fuck.
Yeah, I've still never really watched it that much because of your insistence that it's not great, which I know people will probably get mad at me for, and people have already gotten mad at me for in the past.
It's 2 seasons of just Kirk punching things and fucking things.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Like, and people are like, yeah, it's got all this action stuff, and it's like, no, but that's boring. Like, watch Picard. Picard is interesting.
Oh, man.
Watch Janeway. Janeway is interesting.
Picard's fucking so good.
You know, that kind of stuff is like, anybody that's ever told me like, oh, I can't get into Star Trek, I always show them the Inner Light, and they're like, I want to watch the show.
Yeah. It's a good go-to. It's pretty fantastic.
It's probably the best episode of television I've ever watched.
I'm pretty sure that won an Emmy or something for like best episode. It's won a bunch of awards. It's great.
Rightfully so.
Rightfully so. It's a great episode. It's some fantastic writing.
Oh, fuck. Now I want to watch that episode.
I want to go back, and I just realized I need to get back on The Expanse because the second season just ended and I haven't watched any of it yet.
Oh, question, since we're talking TV sci-fi, have you ever watched Battlestar Galactica?
No, I have the whole series somewhere on a hard drive, like all the episodes saved. I've just never actually taken the time to sit and watch it.
I'm not talking old Battlestar with unicorn planets and shit. I'm talking new.
Yeah, I haven't. I just haven't. One of my friends was super into it. One of my other friends. I
love Battlestar Galactica. I think that you would really like Battlestar Galactica. It is a mystery. It is a murder mystery wrapped inside of a cerebral sci-fi show. It is amazing.
Interesting description. Okay.
I got Dawn into it, and Dawn does not like Star Trek. Like, even showing her the Inner Light, she'll watch the Inner Light, and that's about it. I got Dawn into Battlestar Galactica. I made her watch the hour-long pilot, and she was like, I want to watch more of this. And then they took it off Netflix.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That sucks.
You should watch Battlestar.
I should do that. That's the thing I should do.
It's long. I will warn you.
It's like 5 seasons, isn't it?
8 seasons.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Well,
8 seasons, 3 movies.
Maybe in like 6 months. I got a few things on the calendar here. I'm halfway through The Wire. I got to watch The Expanse at some point. But no, I could squeeze it in the calendar somewhere further down.
It's 8 seasons. They're hour-long episodes. The pilot is 2.5 hours long.
Oh God, what are you doing to me?
And between season 6 and 7, there's 3 movies that you have to watch.
Just so you guys know, this guy got me into Next Generation, and it took me legitimately a year to watch that entire show just because it's so fucking long. Are you gonna be the reason for another year of my life disappearing because of a TV show? All because of Battlestar Galactica? God damn it!
It's nowhere near as long as TNG.
Okay. TNG's like 9 seasons, and it's like 24-hour-long episodes a season.
But that's the thing. Battlestar is, I believe, they're 8 episodes or 12 episode seasons.
Okay.
Like, you can go through Battlestar in like 3 months if you watch an episode a day.
Okay.
That's how I did it originally. I own the DVDs.
That's not too bad.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap up this podcast since we talked some video games and we talked some movies. If you guys want to get in touch with us, remember you can send us an email to podcast@gamingdeath.com, or you can join us live I'm not going to say that. You can join us live when we're live on twitch.tv/gamingdeath. We'll figure out what day we're going to do this. It might be Wednesdays, it might be Thursdays, it might be Tuesdays. Who knows what day we're actually going to do this. But we will be doing this again, don't worry. But we will announce. It might just go back to Thursdays. I don't know yet. Whatever works for both me and Caleb. Remember to head over to geekyantics.net for more great shows like this one, like Horseplay Live, hosted by the Podfather himself, Yogi Zilla. If you're listening to us on iTunes, Stitcher, or SoundCloud, remember to like, review, leave us a like, comment, all that good happy horse shit. But I think that's going to do it for tonight. I'm Chris.
I'm Fan.
I thought you were Bay.
You thought I was Bay?
I thought you were Bay, but you just Fam?
This is a fully functioning anthropomorphic fan here, signing off.
Have a good night, everybody.
There he is.
And I'm spent. Alright, YouTube. You know the drill. Hit that bell icon. Leave a comment below. Hit that like button. You love us. You know you do.
Good times.
We give you sultry, sexy little ending here because you love it. You love us.
For Gaming Death After Dark.
Gaming Death After Dark. Doo-doo-doo. Bow bow.
Speaking of things after dark.
Yo.
And dark versions of things, have you seen the new Twin Peaks season?
I have not.
Do you like Twin Peaks?
I like the first season of Twin Peaks.
Oh, that's a fair assessment of Twin Peaks.
I like the first season of Twin Peaks, but then when the network was like, "Yo, you've got to tell us who the killer is," and he was like, "No, my plan is to never reveal who the killer is." And they were like, "No, you have to reveal who the killer is," and he was like, "No, it's so much more than that. You guys don't understand."
Yeah. I got about halfway through season 2, which I think is still pretty good, but at some point it's kind of just like, yeah, I don't know about this, Morty. I don't know where we're going with this. I don't know if this matters. When they introduce the love interest, it gets a little weird.
I don't know. I've not watched any of season 2. I still don't know who killed her.
Oh, well, it's interesting and weird because it's fucking David Lynch, but it's on this Guess Something You Need to Know. But I've heard
Is
interesting...
it just me, or is David Lynch like the David Cage of TV shows?
No, David Lynch actually has talent.
Oh, okay.
David Lynch has created some really crazy bullshit, though. Have you seen any of his other stuff?
Probably. I'm so fucking dead-ass tired right now.
Oh, okay. Well, unless you can think of it being a movie you've seen, potentially not, actually, because his movies are all super weird and really different.
Let's see.
He made...
Mulholland Drive I've seen.
Okay. That's the
Blue
one I haven't
Velvet I've seen.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm
looking at his IMDb right now.
I have not seen any of those, actually, although I mean to. I haven't seen Eraserhead.
I've seen Eraserhead.
You've seen Eraserhead?
Yep, that's a neat movie.
That's what I've heard. I've heard that is an underrepresentation of what it is as a film. Neat, I guess is one way to describe it.
I'm trying to see. Oh, he did Dune. I've seen Dune. Everybody's seen Dune.
Did he do Dune?
He did Dune.
That was because that must have been way back in the day, and that was not a good movie. Yeah,
that was between Blue Velvet and The Elephant Man, which I've also seen The Elephant Man.
He's a strange man, but I've heard very, very strange but also good things about the recent Twin Peaks season that just ended, and I've heard that in some ways it is a complete deconstruction of Twin Peaks in weird and terrifying ways, but I've heard it's really good. I just haven't watched it yet.
Right now, I'm watching American Horror Story. The new season of American Horror Story. American Horror Story Cult.
Is that any good? I heard there were a couple seasons where it kind of fell off there.
What I like about American Horror Story is every season is standalone.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
So, like, the first season's, like, by far the best season. And there's certain seasons that are hit or miss. The last season was terrible. They did Roanoke. It was called American Horror Story Roanoke, where they tried to do a made for... You know how they used to do those made for TV movie things where they're like, I was haunted, and they do a reenactment of the haunting and stuff?
Yeah.
They did that as the first half of the season, which you have no idea what's really going on. And then the second half of the season, it's like a reality show where the actors who are in the reenactment and the people that were actually in the house come back to the house.
Weird.
Yeah. It's if you like horror and stuff, it's a good show. It's very cerebral. It's very mind-fucky. But like Covenant was a bad season. Asylum was good. Murder House was good. Hotel was really good.
Murder House.
Yeah, it's the first season. The one with the sideshow Freak Show was pretty good.
I've heard good things about that one in particular.
Covenant is not great, but it's decent. Roanoke is terrible. And now Cult's really interesting because the last week was their first episode. Yesterday was episode 2, and it picks up with Trump winning the election.
Okay.
So it's about this lesbian couple. The one chick's got a bunch of phobias and is freaking out now that Trump won, and all these phobias that she's defeated are coming back because of the anxiety created now that Trump won. And this other guy, who's played by Evan Peters, who's in every season, is a Trump supporter who is like very alt-right and fucking crazy, and I'm pretty sure that's the cult.
Alt-right?
Very alt-right, and it's fucking creepy, and there's clowns, and it's been great so far. I'm gonna watch episode 2 when I get off when we're done with the podcast.
There's clowns?
Yeah, there's clowns because the main female character, is afraid of clowns.
Oh.
So she's having delusional hallucinations of seeing like clowns. Like in the first episode, she goes to a supermarket and she turns the corner and she hallucinates these 2 clowns fucking on watermelons.
Wow, that's weird.
It's fucking crazy.
Good times.
And now the clowns could be real. That was the big cliffhanger at the end of episode 1. Is the clowns could be real because her son sees them, but this all could just be in her head. We're not quite sure. We're only on episode 1.
Are there Pepes?
What do you mean?
Are there Pepes yet?
No, Evan Peters, when Trump wins the election, puts a bunch of Cheetos in a blender and then covers himself in the Cheetos dust.
Oh, God. What the fuck?
And then imitates him in the mirror. It's fucking phenomenal.
What the hell?
It's a great show. It's a great show.
I don't know if you're selling it, but it at least sounds interesting. So I was going to say, there's apparently a new show coming out on, I think it's BBC America. You like Black Mirror, right?
Yes, of course I do.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Depending on the episodes.
Okay, yeah. There's a new, kind of somewhat similar series coming out soon that I can't remember the name of, but it's based off of short stories and novels by Philip K. Dick.
Okay.
So that's the premise, which already sells me pretty well. And it's going to be, Twilight Zone style. And it looks like they have some pretty big names signed on for some of the stories. So let me look up what that is.
All right. Hey, YouTube, we're going to get going, though. So hope you have a good night. Remember, like, subscribe, comment, all that happy horse shit. Have a good night, guys.
Night, guys.